What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Gold Guy YouTube channel, and welcome back to the 1974 Honda MT250 restoration. I am so close to getting this bike reassembled. I can almost taste it. The only thing standing between me and riding this bike are restoring all of these things on my workbench, and also some missing parts, which I did buy. Now this might look like a lot, but the motor, I don't think I'm really gonna do much of anything to it because it ran good. I did a compression test on it and it has like 160 PSI compression, which is good enough for me. And then everything else here is pretty much just cleaning. Gonna repaint the black foot brake lever, and this is awesome. This original side cover with the original sticker. So this is it, guys. This is we're getting down to the nitty gritty. Let's do this. Well, I think that's about as clean as this is gonna get. Next up, the rear inner fender. And then the oil tank cover. Alright, well that stuff's all clean. I'm gonna hit this front fender with some paint stripper and we'll see if it gets this nasty, crappy black spray paint job off. Alright, let's see what it did. The paint underneath is pretty screwed up. As you can see, it's gone in a lot of places. I'm gonna just have to sand it, roughen it up a bit, and repaint it. I'm gonna have to pull this little mud flap off. And there's that cool mud flap. That feels perfect. Okay, now I'm going to be repainting the Kickstarter, brake lever, and handlebars, all the same color, and they all need cleaned up. So I'm going to take the wire reel to them, get this old crap off. See how easy that paint comes off? There we go. They can't have shininess because paint doesn't stick to that. So I'm using a flap disc on my angle grinder and we'll rough this thing up. That's better. Paint will definitely stick to that. Time for primer. I'm going to be using this filler primer on the fender and self-etching primer on the bare metal. Alright, first coat of primer is done. To paint these parts, I'm going to be using this Duplicolor black, gloss black engine enamel paint. Not because it's high heat, but because it is resistant to fluids. It's just good for anything automotive. 2 light ones and 1 final medium coat. Time for coat 2. Ten minutes later, final coat. The primer on the front fender is dry, and there are definitely some rough spots. 320 grit sandpaper, and just smooth everything out. Alright, this thing is super smooth. It's ready for some paint.
And last but not least, I'm going to hit all this stuff with some clear coat.
After a quick bath in the rust remover, the front fender mud flap hardware is all painted. I gave it a nice coat of silver paint. I'm going to reinstall this mud flap now. Front fender is fully restored. Now it's time to restore the headlight. This stuff's really in pretty good shape, but the rim around the headlight here should be chrome, so I'm going to try and remove this spray paint from it. Also, the speedometer unit is cracked and loose. I'm going to have to try and fix that, and I'm also going to give this bracket here a paint job. But before we do any of that stuff, we got to disassemble it all down to the bare parts. Okay, there it is. There's the bracket. The wire reel actually worked really well at cleaning this plastic off. And these are really good to go now. Now we gotta get all the rust off of this bracket. Okay, that is good enough for me. Alright, all that paint came off really well. This chrome looks amazing. I've also removed the back metal plate from the actual speedometer so I don't melt anything. Got some tinning flux here. I really didn't want to have to do this, guys, but that solder just wasn't working, so JB Weld was my only solution. Got a nice thick coating on the inside, just a thin layer on the outside. I'm going to sand this all smooth and then hit it with some silver paint, and hopefully no one will notice it. Yeah, just like that, the bracket's painted, looking real nice. So let's reassemble the headlight and speedometer assembly and everything. I went ahead and painted over that JB Weld with some silver. You almost can't even tell. I can't wait to hear what this little 6-volt horn is gonna sound like. And there we go. It is all good and ready to go back on the bike, looking nice and shiny. Here we have the back fender for this bike, and originally I was gonna just buy a new one. I actually threw this one in the trash because it's cracked right here and it doesn't look very good. But then I looked them up on eBay, and it turns out that these fenders are like $150. Everything for this bike is pretty expensive, so I'm gonna fix this. There's no missing plastic, it's just cracked. I don't know what this is, but it looks like they tried to fix it with whatever this stuff is. I don't know, but that obviously didn't work. What I'm thinking. I've got this piece of metal that I bent so that it fits inside the fender. I'm gonna just JB weld this puppy in place like that, and then lather some JB weld on the front of it also so that I can sand it down smooth and you won't see the crack. In order to do that, I'm gonna have to take my Dremel with this cone grinding wheel and grind out a bit of a channel on top of the crack to hold some JB weld down in there, just so that it sticks better. The next day, and this thing feels really solid. Sand it smooth, and there's definitely some low spots here. I'm gonna have to fill those back in. For the rear fender, using universal bonding primer. This stuff's really good to use on plastic. And then this silver caliper enamel paint. Let's do it.
Primer on the fender. Here we go. Now it's time to get the silver on the fender. Three silver coats later, time for clear.
It's time to clean up this engine. I've got to pull off this side cover here. And the reason I wanted to pull that side cover off, this hose here is done. And also I want to remove the throttle cable. It's kind of in the way. Yep. So there's the throttle cable removed. Now I'm gonna reinstall this cover. The engine is outside. It's been soaking in some degreaser solution, and I'm gonna hit it with my pressure washer. I've sealed off the intake and exhaust, all the holes I could find. I'm gonna keep it on a nice fan so I don't damage anything. Got the engine all clean, and I can definitely tell this engine used to be brown like most of them, and someone did a very bad paint job on it because most of the paint's gone. So yes, I am gonna need to repaint this engine. But before I do that, I'm gonna use a Scotch-Brite pad to rough up this existing paint so that new paint sticks to it. And then all of the steel parts on the engine that are rusted, I'm going to clean the rust off with this wire wheel. That's all it takes, and we're back down to that brown paint stuff. So I'm going to have to rethink this a little bit. I'm going to have to first hit this engine with some paint stripper. I'm guessing it'll take all that black paint right off in seconds. Here we go. I can already see it making that black paint just bubble up. It's been about half an hour, and I think the paint stripper has done its job. It's kind of hard to tell. It looks all weird and gray, so I'm gonna hit it with the pressure washer again. Okay, now most of their paint is off of this engine. There's still most of the brown paint, but that's fine. I'm fine painting over that because it seems like really good paint. So I'm just gonna use the Scotch-Brite pad, some sandpaper, and just stuff everything up so that the new paint sticks to it. Just in case. This is the paint I'm gonna be using for the engine. It's first engine enamel primer, gloss black engine enamel, and gloss clear.
Primer first, obviously. Now it's time for the black. Alright, that's the first coat. Clear coat.
Man, this could have been probably like 4 separate videos, but I got it all done in one video because I'm trying to bust this thing out and get this bike assembled. I am so close. It's all coming together. I'm going to be putting this bike together in the next video. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this mega montage of just doing all these small jobs, getting all this little stuff done so that we can assemble a bike. I painted the engine, I painted the rear and front fenders. Man, that rear fender came out good. You can't even tell it was ever cracked. Fixed up the headlight bracket, painted the handlebars, Kickstarter, brake lever. If you want to see the assembly, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on it when it comes out. If you like the video, hit that like button, comment down below what you think, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.